You can be the woman he brags about to his friends, the one he calls first when something happens, the one he said he'd never let go of, and still watch his obsession fade so quietly you almost miss it happening. Not because you weren't enough, not because something better came along, but because 9 small things you're probably doing without even realizing it are slowly turning something off inside him. Something that once it switches off, doesn't just switch back on because you try harder. And if you've ever had a man go from completely crazy about you to just distant, without any real explanation, keep watching, because what I'm about to share is going to explain everything. Here's what most people get completely wrong about how men work. A man's obsession doesn't die because his feelings die. It actually dies way before that. It dies slowly, through tiny little moments that don't even feel like moments at the time. You're not losing him in the big fights. You're losing him in the small, everyday stuff that nobody ever talks about. And the hardest part is most of the things that kill his obsession actually look like love from the outside. They look like care. They look like effort, which is exactly why so many women keep doing them without realizing what they're actually doing to his attraction. If you've ever felt a man slowly pull back and had no idea what changed, hit subscribe, because understanding what actually keeps a man obsessed is what changes everything. Not just in one relationship, but in every connection you'll ever have from here on. I'm going to walk you through 9 things women do that kill a man's obsession. Sometimes instantly, sometimes slowly, but always completely if they go unchecked. And I want you to really hear this. This isn't about blame. It's about understanding how attraction actually works so you stop losing men you actually want to keep. Nobody really talks about what kills obsession. Everyone talks about what builds it. Be confident, be fun, be a little mysterious. But almost nobody explains what quietly destroys it. And here's the scary part. It doesn't take anything dramatic. No cheating, no lying, no big blow up. Sometimes it's just a shift in your energy. A small change in how you talk to him. One moment that his gut reads completely differently from how you meant it. And just like that, something shifts in how he feels when he thinks about you. The human brain, and especially the male brain, is wired to chase what it can't fully figure out. Real obsession lives right in the middle of closeness and a little bit of uncertainty. The second that balance tips too far in either direction, the pull weakens. And when the pull weakens enough, what was once obsession turns into just comfort, which sounds nice, but comfort without desire is just friendship. And that's not what you want. And it's not what he signed up for either. But before we get into the 9 things, I want you to think about something. Have you ever watched a man completely change his energy with you and had no idea what triggered it? His texts go from long and excited to short and dry. His attention, which used to feel so focused on you, starts feeling somewhere else. And you're sitting there going back through every single conversation, trying to figure out what you did. What if the thing you did wasn't one big thing? What if it was a pattern of small things that built up over time? Because that's almost always how it actually goes. Men don't lose obsession in one moment. They lose it through a slow build of signals that his gut picks up before he even consciously understands what he's feeling. And by the time he can name it, the feeling is already mostly gone. This isn't about trying harder. Trying harder when you don't know what's actually wrong just makes everything worse. It's about understanding what's really going on so you can stop the leak before the tank runs empty. So let's get into it. Here are the 9 things women do that kill a man's obsession. And the first one is going to surprise you because it looks nothing like a mistake from the outside. The first thing that kills his obsession is trying to fix him. Not in obvious ways. Nobody sits down and says, let me fix this man. It happens in tiny everyday moments. You finish his sentence because you think you know where he's going. You quietly steer a decision he's making because you can already see it's going to go sideways. You correct a small detail in a story he's telling. You offer a better way to do something he was already doing. Every single one of those moments feels like help from your side. From his side, every single one of those moments feels like you don't trust him. His gut reads it as, she doesn't think I can handle things. And once a man starts feeling that from someone he's with, his obsession doesn't just slow down, it starts going in reverse. Because here's how a man's obsession actually works. It's tied completely to how free he feels around you. The more he feels watched, managed, or corrected, the more trapped he feels. And you cannot be obsessed with someone who makes you feel trapped. It's just not possible. This doesn't mean you can't have opinions or that you have to pretend everything he does is perfect. It means switching from correcting him to being curious about him. Instead of, that's not how you do it, try, oh, interesting. Why did you go with that? You're not giving up your voice. You're just giving him room to be himself around you. And when a man feels like he can fully be himself around you, his obsession comes back fast. The less you try to manage him, the more he leans toward you. That's not a coincidence. That's just how attraction works. But this leads right into the second thing. And this one doesn't just slow down his obsession. It changes how he feels in his gut when he even thinks about you. The second thing that kills a man's obsession is dumping too much, too fast emotionally. Not having feelings, that's not the problem. The problem is when you share every feeling, every worry, every anxious thought the second it comes up, before he even has a chance to wonder about you. Society tells women that being open is always good. And emotional openness is good, but timing is everything. Safety and obsession come from 2 completely different places in how a man's brain works. Safety makes him relax around you. Obsession makes him chase you. When you pour everything out all the time, you create safety, but you kill the chase. And without the chase, obsession can't survive. Think about a song you love. Part of why you love it is the space between the notes. If every single instrument just played all at once the whole time, it wouldn't be music. It would just be noise. Attraction works the same exact way. When you fill every quiet moment with feelings and explanations and check-ins, you leave him nothing to wonder about. And when a man stops wondering about you, he stops being obsessed with you. It's that simple. I used to think that being completely open meant trust, that showing everything was how you built something real. But real connection isn't about saying everything. It's about saying the right thing at the right moment. When your feelings come out at the right time in the right way, it pulls him closer. When they come out constantly and all at once, it overwhelms him. His gut doesn't read it as love. It reads it as imbalance. And he starts pulling back, not because he doesn't care, but because something in him is looking for solid ground again. The fix isn't shutting down. It's learning to hold your own feelings without needing him to carry them right away. When you can feel something big and sit with it without falling apart or immediately putting it on him, he sees strength. And that quiet strength is one of the most attractive things a man can see in a woman. It looks like mystery from his side, even though it's really just emotional self-control. And that's exactly what keeps his brain coming back to you. Now we're at the third thing, and this is one most women don't even realize they're doing because it looks like confidence from the outside. The third thing that kills his obsession is trying to match his energy. Not his effort, his energy. When he's direct, you're more direct. When he's confident, you push back with just as much confidence. When he leads, you lead right alongside him. You think matching him shows strength. And you're right, it does show strength, but it doesn't build obsession. Because obsession needs contrast, not a mirror. When you bring the same energy he brings, there's no pull. It's like two magnets facing the same direction. They don't pull toward each other, they push away. A man doesn't get obsessed with someone who feels like his equal in energy. He gets obsessed with someone who feels different from him in a way he can't quite explain. Not weaker, not passive, just different. When he talks with his head, you respond from your feelings. When he moves fast, you move easy. When everything about him is structured and certain, you bring something a little lighter and more free. That's what creates the pull. It's not about traditional roles or playing small. It's about being genuinely different from him in a way that makes him feel something he can't get anywhere else. The women who keep men the most obsessed long term are usually very capable, very independent women, but they know how to receive. They know how to let a man contribute. They know how to let him feel like he's actually adding something to their life. When a man feels like there's nothing left for him to offer you because you've already solved everything, decided everything, and handled everything, his obsession fades. Not because his ego is hurt, but because his instinct to show up for someone has nowhere to go. Give him somewhere to put that energy, and his obsession comes right back. But now comes the fourth thing. And this one is the quietest of all. You won't hear it in what you say. You won't see it in what you do. It shows up in your energy before you even open your mouth. The fourth thing that kills his obsession is letting your insecurity leak out in small ways. You can be beautiful, you can be funny, you can be the most interesting woman in the room. But the second small insecurity starts leaking out in your energy, something shifts in how he feels around you. Men don't always understand why they feel what they feel. They can't always explain it. But they feel energy shifts before they can put words to them. When your voice gets a little unsure waiting for his reaction. When your eyes check his face to see if he's still interested. When you laugh a little too fast at something he says just to make sure he likes you. His gut picks all of that up immediately. And instead of feeling drawn to you, he starts watching you. And the second he's watching instead of feeling, the obsession is already starting to fade. Because obsession can't live in analysis. It can only live in feeling. Real confidence isn't loud. It's not about being the most outgoing person in the room. It's just a quiet sense that you don't need anyone to tell you that you're worth something. That calm is what locks a man's attention without any effort. Insecurity, on the other hand, puts invisible pressure on him. It silently asks him to prove himself to you, to reassure you, to fill a gap inside you. And once he steps into that role, the whole dynamic shifts. He becomes your support system. You become someone who needs support. And what was obsession becomes something that feels more like responsibility. Safe, maybe, but completely without fire. The hardest part is that women usually show the most insecurity exactly when they care the most. They overanalyze texts. They read into silences. They try harder when they feel him pulling back. But the more effort that comes from a place of fear, the less obsession he feels. His attraction isn't built through your effort. It's built through your ease. When your whole energy says, I know who I am and I'm good whether you're here or not, he relaxes into wanting you. When it says, I need you to make me feel okay, he backs away into his own head. And once his head takes over, the feeling is already leaving. The most magnetic women aren't the most perfect. They're the ones who can hold tension without cracking. They don't need someone to keep telling them they're great. They already know. And that certainty, that ease, is one of the most powerful things a woman can carry. Now we're at the fifth thing, and this one sneaks up on you slowly. The fifth thing that kills his obsession is becoming completely predictable. Not reliable, predictable. There's a difference. Reliable means he can count on you. Predictable means he already knows exactly what you're going to say, do, and feel in every situation before it even happens. And once a man can predict you completely, his brain stops paying attention. The brain is wired to pay close attention to things it hasn't figured out yet. Real obsession lives in that space where he knows you well enough to feel safe, but doesn't know you fully enough to stop being curious. The second you tip too far into completely known territory, the curiosity dies. And without curiosity, obsession just can't stay alive. It needs something to feed on. Most women lose this slowly after things feel settled. They stop teasing. They stop having unpredictable moments. They stop creating any contrast between being warm and being a little pulled back. Everything becomes the same note played over and over. And even the most beautiful note loses meaning when it never changes. The answer isn't drama. Drama is exhausting and it pushes people away. The answer is variation. Small, natural shifts in your energy that keep him slightly on his